Hi, I'm James, and as a foot and ankle specialist, I'm going to break down the key differences between the Hoka Bondi 8 and the Gaviota 5. Now, they both look similar, but they're designed to do completely different things, different functions, they feel different on your foot, and I'm going to break down how these specifications influence your gait and what you feel. So the first things we're going to talk about is the amount of cushioning in the shoes. So on the Bondi 8, you've got 39mm of cushioning in the rear foot, 35 in the forefoot, giving you a 4mm drop, whereas in the Gaviota 5, you've got 36 mils in the rear foot, 30 in the forefoot, giving you a 6mm drop. So they're still relatively low drop shoes, with a slight difference in heel drop and the amount of cushioning on the foot in both shoes. And as you can see, both cushionings look very similar. So the Gaviota 5 got a complete transformation from the Gaviota 4, so they've got a much more plush cushioning similar to what you get in the Bondi 8, and that's probably as similar as they get overall. And just to elaborate on the cushioning, it's a very soft, plush, cloud-like cushioning. So as you apply weight to it, you tend to sink into the shoe. It's super plush, really luxurious fit. It doesn't give you much energy return as a result, so it's a bit sluggish. So if you're looking for something that springs you forward, that's not it. It's probably looking at something more like the Hoka Clifton 9, whereas this is all about comfort in both shoes. However, when it comes to stability, they're completely different. In the Gaviota 5, you've got a H frame which runs from the back to the shoe all the way to the front of the shoe, and it works by giving you stability along both the outer and the inner aspects of the shoe and in the midsole. So as you initiate contact with the ground, the H frame tries to keep you centered in the shoe as you move throughout the gait cycle. In the previous model, they had a J frame which added extra resistance to pronation moments as you move inward. They've removed that and they've tried to enhance the H frame in the shoe to make it really stable. Other stability features in the Gaviota 5 include a wide base of support underneath your foot, so it doesn't narrow too much underneath the midsole, and it's really broad in the forefoot, increasing the amount of contact that you have with the ground. It has some sole flare on both sides, the medial and the lateral side, and that's where the sole just tilts outward wider than where your foot sits in the shoe, again increasing that amount of contact you have with the ground, therefore increasing your base of support. You've also got some nice sidewalls that come up the side of the shoe on the inside and on the outside of the heel, so they come up, cradle your heel, reduce how much you can move side to side, and that's often coupled with a stiffer heel counter. So we'd say the Gaviota 5 has a moderately stiff heel counter, and again that just stops your foot slipping side to side whether you're changing directions or whether you're on a slippier surface. So it's a maximalist stability shoe, whereas the Bondi 8 is very much just a max cushion shoe. So because it's got so much stack, it inherently makes it a little bit unstable, and that's something to be aware of if you've got issues like peroneal tendonitis or posterior tibial tendonitis, so issues around the ankle stabilizers or a history of ankle instability. Really plush maximal cushion shoe can make it a little bit unsteady underfoot. They have some elements of stability, so they try to give a wide base of support under the forefoot and some sole flare, but not to the same extent that you get in the Gaviota 5, and you've also got some mild sidewalls either side of the heel. So overall, it tries to add elements of stability to compensate for the fact that it's got such soft maximal cushioning, but it's very much what we classify as a stable neutral shoe. The Gaviota 5 is a max stability shoe. Then as we move into the upper, they're completely different as well. So historically with the Hoka shoes, you've had quite a narrow tapered toe box, and that's definitely the case with the Bondi 8. Whilst it's slightly wider than something like the Hoka Max 6, it still tapers very early and is quite narrow in the forefoot. They do come in a wide and an extra wide version, but it is something to keep in mind. It is true to size and length, but it does taper very quickly on the forefoot, and it can be a problem if you've got issues like bunions or Morton's neuroma. Whereas in the Hoka Gaviota 5 is probably one of the widest toe box shoes on the market. It's amazing, and they've made a massive change from the previous models and from the Huarache 7. So you've got a really broad forefoot along with that extra support underfoot, and it doesn't taper too early in the forefoot either. Yes, it tapers a little bit quicker than some broader shoes like the Altras or the Topos, but relative to most of its competitors, it's got plenty of space in that toe box, and we had no issues whatsoever. Normally we'd have to get a wide in a Hoka, but I fit into a normal size, and in fact the normal size in the Gaviota 5 is wider than the wide version of the Gaviota 4. Then we've got an engineered mesh on top on both shoes. We've got a gusseted tongue, so it's stitched in. That's nice and padded on both shoes. The heel counter comes up a little bit higher and is a little bit stiffer in the Gaviota 5 than it does in the Bondi 8. So that's something to keep in mind if you wanted to use this to put something like orthotics in the shoe that elevates you a little bit inside the shoe. So most people find that they feel like they're coming out the back of the shoe. So what are these shoes useful for? So they're both excellent shoes for standing all day, for walking for long periods of time. They're super comfortable overall. In terms of running, they're very much cruiser shoes, recovery shoes. They're not used for fast or up-tempo work because they're just a little bit too heavy, a little bit too clunky on the transition from the heel strike to the push-off phase of the gait cycle. Even though they have a nice meta rocker where it curves upward towards the forefoot, still a bit just too heavy for them for those faster sessions. Then in terms of what they provide underfoot, the Gaviota 5 is very much a maximal stability shoe with lots of cushioning in there. The Bondi is a relatively stable neutral shoe, but we'll probably classify it as a neutral cushion shoe overall. If you've got any questions on either of these shoes, please leave them in the comment section below. We've got links to both shoes which really help fund the channel if you purchase through the links without affecting the price of the shoes. Also, if you don't buy the shoes but you found the video helpful, really appreciate if you could like, subscribe and share the video, as it makes a big difference to the channel. Thanks for watching.